healthcare law to be subject to it. You can have a guy or a man or woman living in a cabin all their lives, high in the mountains, away from everyone. And under this law, you can have a government knocking on their door saying, you have to buy this insurance, and if you don't, there's going to be ramifications and penalties, and that you can, and potential imprisonment for that matter, down the line. And so this is very serious in that, this individual mandate is a serious issue, because we're not just talking about healthcare insurance, we're really talking about opening the floodgate for federal police powers to dictate to any of us at any time what they want to do, and the only thing holding them back is their own will to do it. And that's frightening when you're talking about politicians. And the only thing that holds them back is their own will, and not the authority or the power of the Constitution. And so we at Pacific Justice looked at this, and we realized the enormity that we're dealing with of the equation. And so we went ahead and filed a lawsuit in federal court. Now, why did we file a lawsuit in federal court? Actually in San Diego federal court. It's simple because California, like other states, many other states across the country, our Attorney General and our Governor refused to lift a finger on behalf of the people of California. And so we went ahead and did that. I personally flew out to Florida. I met with the Attorney General of Florida. I also met with the Attorney General of Virginia. So it's not like we did this totally on our own with our new philosophy. No, our briefs are very similar, let's put it that way, compare our legal arguments and cause of action, etc. And so we argued it. The federal judge in San Diego is different than the federal judge in Virginia and the one in Florida. And he said, no, you don't have standing, and we won't allow this to continue, so we're dismissing it. So we now have it on appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. We are leading the charge on the West Coast in the battle against the healthcare law. I think it's very basic. I think it's very fundamental that we do this. People have different philosophies about how do we deal with, the need for people to get medical care, etc. They can argue that. I give a lot of leeway to policies I do, but not when it crosses the liberties protected by the Constitution of the United States. I just can't get in there. I can't, and we shouldn't, because when we do, we're throwing away something much more than just our political position. We're throwing away liberty interests for our children that men and women have died for decades in our country. And it's just too important not to give up. Before I forget, because I may forget, many of you received a sheet about this size. Wave it if you got one. Did you guys get one? Okay. Over there, did you get one? No, over there. Anyway, I ran out of the white ones, so we now have the blue ones. They're exactly the same, just so you know. No one gets a free car. Sorry, I'm not Oprah. But actually, I'm apologizing for that one. Okay. But anyway, but if you want to keep up with our cases, please fill this out, and so we can keep you guys educated. Like I said, we handle more case matters on the West Coast defending these kinds of issues than any organization in the country, bar none. And we have the largest team of attorneys on the West Coast doing this work than any others. And we have the most offices and everything else. And Attorney General Ed Meese has served faithfully over 13 years as our chairman of our advisory board. And I really appreciate him too, so I want to give him credit up front as well. Now, let me give you some projection, then we're going to go to some Q&A time, okay? What about California? What do I see down the road? First, let's start on the federal level, and we'll talk about California. I was at a meeting in Washington, D.C. just prior to the election. And in this meeting, I can't say who was in the meeting, but let's say some leaders, some legal leaders, if you will. And a representative, the person representing Congress, the Republicans in Congress, excuse me, they knew that they were going to take the House. And he was very, very happy, very confident. We were too with him in many ways. But he went to assure us that they were going to take bold actions when they got the House. Bold actions. They were going to reduce the federal budget by $180 billion. And I said, wait a minute, was that 1.8 trillion or 180 billion? And I looked around the room, and I didn't see anyone really flinching. I'm sorry, I'm just wired this way. Excuse me, sir. In all due respect to you, I said, I'm not only the president of the Pacific Justice Institute, I'm also actually a Tea Party activist. And so, in fact, I did the Express thing up and down the state of California this last time with the Tea Party. So my wife was very forgiving for that. So, but anyway, I said I'm also involved with the Tea Parties, and I know them. And let me just make something very clear. Their loyalty to the Republican Party is about this deep. And I told them, I said, and if you reduce the budget by just $180 billion, then you can expect to see a very different turnout in 2012. And you will be regretting it. And so, anyway, I just that's my nature, you know. So I am hoping that they will get the message that we don't want to be like a Britain and have to do what they've done and be in those situations with Greece and Ireland and Spain and Portugal and I don't know what the latest ones were, but no, we want to be. I was going to say we want to be like China, but that's, I never thought I'd say those words. With a robust free market economy. The day that we say communist China, shows you how old I am. I remember as a kid giving speeches in high school about the communist threat, you know. But the reality is, we don't want to wait for that to what happens in other countries. We need to be preemptive, and we need to be supportive. I'm hoping that in the future that they have the heat, they have the pressure, and they know they have to have real results and actually put their neck on the line. Yes, it's not a one election deal. I understand that. It's going to take 2 or 3 more, or at least 1 or 2 more elections. Then they have the votes in the Senate and possibly the White House to really be effective. But the American people are still watching, and they want to know if this is going to be party playing or if it's going to be people really putting their head on the line, saying no. This is what we believe in, this is our stance, and we're going to pass these things out of the House, whether you veto them or not. I think that's very important. And as far as 2012 goes, I think that, I know Obama would like this to be another election for FDR, re-election for FDR. That's his role model hero. I think it's going to be another Jimmy Carter. I really do. So, the economy, and the reason is because the economy is still going to be very weak. Unemployment is still going to be very high. And historically, when an incumbent is running for re-election and there's high unemployment, they are not re-elected, or they're intimidated from even running for re-election at all. So I think that we're going to see some changes on the federal level, and that could be good. But obviously it depends on who takes this place. But the next point I want to look at, though, is in California. Now, California is very different because people said, what happened? The rest of the country was just, and then California, we fit the stereotype that the rest of the country has for us as those weirdos that are just, anyway. And so, what's going on with California? Well, what happened in this last election was the huge, about a third of the voters in California have had very strong feelings with regards to the Arizona statute, very much opposed to it because of their own demographic background. I'm trying to do this correctly, say this correctly. Anyway, but so a lot of them were very angry, and they came out in very large numbers. And I think that was the #1, my personal opinion, I think that was the #1 curtailment to seeing a lot of what we saw in California was a lot of fear and anxiety because of a lot of the fear-mongering that spill over from the Arizona statutes dealing with the illegal immigration. Now, but why is 2012 going to be different? And why should we not be shuddering?